She wasn't supposed to matter this much. She was introduced as a snarky sidekick with head, tails, and attitude. A teenager dropped into a war zone with a nickname that sounded like it came from a Saturday morning cartoon. But something happened along the way. Something that made her more than just a character. She became a mirror for everything the Jedi were doing wrong. And the worst part is, she figured it out before any of them did. You ever watch someone get blamed for something they didn't do? And instead of being mad, they just go quiet. That was Ahsoka, accused of a bombing, betrayed by her own order, and dragged through a trial like some kind of intergalactic scapegoat while the real traitor ran free. And when the Jedi finally said, "Whoops, our bad," she didn't even flinch. She just walked away. Not with anger, but with heartbreak. And here's the kicker. The Jedi were supposed to be the good guys. The calm ones. The peaceful diplomats with laser swords and a hotline to the Force. But when it came to Ahsoka, they acted like politicians during an election scandal. All damage control and no accountability. It was like watching a spiritual cult try to save face while tossing one of their own under the bus. She could have turned bitter. She could have gone dark. Joined Maul. Joined Sidious. Joined literally anyone not wearing beige robes and pretending to have it all figured out. But instead, she kept her head high, kept her lightsabers clean, and chose a path that didn't need permission from people who'd already failed her. And that's what makes her story hit harder than most. She didn't just survive betrayal, she understood it, and then grew past it. She became the Jedi the Order never allowed her to be. Not because she followed their rules, but because she outgrew them, and still held on to what mattered. In this video, we're diving into why Ahsoka Tano saw the Jedi's fall coming before anyone else, how her journey exposed the cracks in their philosophy, and why walking away wasn't a betrayal, it was a rescue mission. For herself, and maybe for what the Jedi were supposed to stand for in the first place. From the very first time we met Ahsoka Tano, she didn't exactly fit the mold. She was snippy, bold, loud, and had zero interest in kissing anyone's boots on the Jedi Council. And yet, somehow, she was expected to become a perfectly obedient Jedi anyway. A soldier at 16. A general before she could even legally rent a speeder. And all because the Order needed another weapon more than it needed a student. But there was something different about her from the start. Unlike the rest of the clones and lightsabers crowd, Ahsoka asked questions. She challenged orders. She got under Anakin's skin and made Obi-Wan sigh a lot, but she learned fast, not just about battle tactics or force moves, but about the cracks forming in the very walls of the Jedi Temple itself. She watched her masters get comfortable with war. She saw how the Jedi were transforming into politicians and generals and courtroom prosecutors instead of peacekeepers. And as she climbed the ranks, her gut kept telling her something was off. Something rotten was sitting at the heart of the Order, even if no one wanted to admit it. Ahsoka didn't need a vision or a prophecy to know that Jedi were drifting from their own path. She just had eyes, and instincts, and a conscience. And the more she grew, the more the Jedi started to feel less like a home, and more like a cage, dressed up in robes and formality. The Jedi threw Ahsoka under the bus faster than a Star Destroyer can drop out of hyperspace. One minute she's their golden Padawan leading clone troopers into battle. The next, she's being marched through the temple in chains for a crime she didn't commit. No apology, no benefit of the doubt. Just a quick trial, zero evidence, and a nice public humiliation to top it off. And the worst part, they knew it didn't add up. They knew she wasn't the type to bomb a Jedi hangar and kill people she fought beside for years. But image mattered more. Public perception, Senate pressure, all of that nonsense suddenly outweighed truth, loyalty, and reason. Mace Windu was probably the worst of the bunch. Cold, condescending, dismissive as always. Like he was allergic to empathy and couldn't even fake it if he tried. Even Obi-Wan, who should have stepped in harder, held back. Maybe out of fear of undermining the council, maybe just out of habit. But either way, he didn't fight for her. And Anakin, he tried, but by then it was already too late, because the damage was done the moment the council refused to believe her. The Jedi weren't just wrong, they were arrogant about it, and that arrogance cost them one of the few Padawans who still had a real soul left. When they finally offered her a chance to return, like nothing had happened, like it was all just a big misunderstanding. She didn't just say no, she walked away without looking back. And you know what? She was right too. Watching Ahsoka walk away from the Order isn't triumphant. It's heartbreaking. It's the slow realization that the place that trained her, raised her, shaped her, never really cared about her as a person, only as a tool they could use until it broke. You can feel it in her silence. That cold distance when Anakin tries to convince her to stay. That haunted look in her eyes as she passes by Jedi who used to smile at her. They don't even reach out, they just watch her leave, as if losing her is an acceptable cost of doing business. It's a moment that echoes louder than any battle or lightsaber duel, because this isn't about betrayal from a friend, it's about abandonment from an entire ideology. an entire way of life that claimed to be about compassion, and failed to show her any. The pain isn't just in what they did, it's in what they didn't do. They didn't question the system, they didn't speak out, they didn't even comfort her. They just waited to see if she'd come crawling back, and when she didn't, they moved on, as if she never mattered. But we know she did, because we saw the fire behind her choices, and the weight she carried when no one else would. Ahsoka didn't just survive outside the Jedi, she thrived. She became something the Order never truly understood, a Force user without allegiance. A warrior who fought for people, not politics. A Jedi in everything but name. And honestly, better than most of the ones who kept their titles. She hunted down corruption, protected the weak, and even stood toe-to-toe with Maul in one of the most iconic lightsaber duels in the franchise, all without the Council's blessing. That duel wasn't just choreography, it was conviction versus chaos, and she held her ground with purpose, not orders. Even during the siege of Mandalore, she led with compassion, not pride. When she refused to take the lives of clones she once commanded, even knowing they'd tried to kill her, it wasn't weakness, it was principle. The kind of strength the Jedi claimed to represent, but so rarely showed. Ahsoka had every reason to become bitter, to go full dark side and torch everything, but she didn't. She chose integrity over vengeance, clarity over rage. That takes more than power. It takes heart. And Ahsoka had more of it than most Jedi ever did. She wasn't just a good character, she was a living rebuttal to the entire Jedi Council. Proof that empathy and strength aren't opposites, they're allies, if you're brave enough to live by them. Ahsoka's decision to leave didn't end her journey. It started it, because walking away from the Jedi wasn't giving up. It was setting herself free. And through that freedom she became the very thing the Jedi were supposed to be. Not dogmatic soldiers, but protectors of life and balance. When we see her in Rebels, it's clear. She's no longer seeking approval, no longer bound by doctrine. She's focused, wise, and calm in ways her younger self never could have imagined. She fights alongside people who trust her, not because of her rank, but because of her choices. And even after discovering Anakin became Vader, even after facing the most painful truth of her life, she doesn't fall apart. She confronts him, not with hatred, but with sorrow, and still chooses to walk away instead of striking him down. That level of control, that grace under pressure, it's not just powerful, it's inspiring. Ahsoka became a symbol of a new kind of Jedi, one unafraid to question tradition, one driven by empathy rather than ego. Her path lit the way for others, like Ezra, Sabine, and even Luke, in a way. Not with teachings, but by example. She showed us that hope doesn't come from following orders blindly. It comes from having the strength to walk away when those orders go against what's right. The tragedy of Ahsoka's story isn't that she left the Jedi, it's that she was forced to, because the people who claimed to care didn't, and the ones who should have stood up stayed silent while she faced the fire alone. But here's the resolution. She rose anyway, not because of the Jedi, but in spite of them. Her strength wasn't handed down by the Council. It was forged in betrayal, heartbreak, and hard-earned clarity. And in choosing her own path, she became something far more meaningful than a title could ever offer. Ahsoka didn't just survive the fall of the Republic, she survived the fall of faith, and she emerged with something rare, a moral compass that still worked, in a galaxy full of broken compasses and hollow institutions. In the end, her legacy isn't about power or politics, it's about perspective. She saw the Jedi for what they had become, not what they claimed to be, and still chose to protect the innocent, to fight for justice, and to stand alone if she had to. And that might be the most Jedi thing anyone's ever done, even if she never called herself one again. Thank you for watching the whole video. I make videos because of my love for Star Wars and Marvel. I've been asked countless times how I get my subtitles, and I generate them automatically with a tool I built. That same tool can be used here on my website. It's completely free and doesn't require signing up. My website contains the subtitle generator that is perfect for any video, blogging post, where you can sign up with your email and receive notifications for when I post, and also my 3 channels. Critical Analysis Hub focuses on Star Wars and Marvel movies. Critical Analysis Hub Plus looks at Star Wars and Marvel shows. And Critical Analysis Hub XP centers on video games, like The Last of Us series, Jedi Survivor, and GTA 5. Thank you for being a fan.